Cartographers is a game I've been exploring in solo mode on Board Game Arena. I'm going to show you how to play and walk you through a game here on Legendary Tactics. Cartographers is an interesting game that kind of lives up to its name of creating a map. And there's basically 4 scoring cards there. You can see I'm moving across them to bring up the text to explain them. Essentially what you're doing, you're working with the map there on the right, and you're placing one of the 2 pieces that are presented to you at the top with a view that you're looking to set up scoring opportunities based on those 4 cards that we started with. And the 4 cards in the first season, they say spring, the first 2 cards, A and B, let's call them, are scored. And then in the summer, the middle 2 cards, B and C, are scored. Then in the fall, C and D are scored. And then finally in the winter, the final round, D and A are scored. So you've got this scoring system which is kind of moving around a bit on you. So you have to make some plays based on the current scoring situation as well as future scoring considerations. And so it has a kind of a neat feel to it. Solo, it's very puzzly, which if you like those kind of quieter games where you just want to think through a light puzzle, it's not one that's going to necessarily break your brain, but I think it's got a nice feel to it. And it's something that presents a decent challenge, certainly if you play solo games as I do, to just more or less beat my previous score. There's a few different terrain types, as you can see. There's the forest, field, city, and river or water. Then they've got various aspects or features on the map. So you've got the mountains. You can see those brown squares with little gold coin. If you build the structures so that they cover the north, south, east, and west sides of those mountains, then the gold coin is something you get to keep, and it gives you victory points at the end. There's also some tiles that will come up which require them to be on top of a ruin. So you see the sort of the 2 broken pillars there, sort of random spaces on the map. That is where you would have to generally cover. You have to place the tile so it covers one of those ruins up. And so it limits the choice you might have for certain tiles. They come up maybe 2 or 3 times a game kind of thing. It's not super often. In the game I'm playing right now, you can see I've covered off that mountain at the top left, a little bit towards the left, and the gold coin there has got a green ring around it, and that basically means it's been scored. So the scoring boxes at the bottom, they kind of keep tabs on, on the bottom left, they keep tabs on the amount of points you're getting for each particular card, whether they're going to be scored that turn or not. And at the bottom, it tracks the coins that you've seized from the mountains down below. So anyway, you can see across the 4 cards, the row of cards that I'm working with, I have a one where the cities, the red tiles have to touch 3 different terrain types in order to score. Then you have the one beside it, whereas if you have a field that covers a ruin, or if you have a river or the water next to a ruin, then those score points. And then you have the next one, which is complete rows or columns, will score points. And then finally, using forests to connect the mountains. So using the forests to, essentially build a little road from one mountain to the other. And that is, another way to score points. But again, it rotates a bit. We're in the middle of spring, and so we're only looking at cards A and B, the first 2, for scoring opportunities right here. So even though we may score points in other areas, they may not take hold until later. Now there's a certain number on each card which is basically time, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's what they're adding up. And the time value, as soon as it hits a grand total of 8 or more, that ends the season. So the different tiles that you take and so forth will use up different time values, and then you are forced to end the season, score it, and then move on to the next one. So, as I said, a very relaxing solo experience. There is a bit of luck. Sometimes the tiles that you want and or need do not come up. You're always going to be making the best of your situation. It's a tactical game, not a strategic one per se, as you're basically reacting to what's going on and trying to make the pieces fit on the map. And there's a lot of sort of what I'm doing right now, where you're just kind of puzzling through and like, if I spin it one way, do I get to what I want? And I have to make sure I covered this up, and I have to make sure I'm doing that. And so it's a nice game in that sense. It's very relaxing, but there's definitely a decent amount of thought that goes into it. That is basically the gameplay. There's not much more to it in terms of mechanisms. Of course, you're allowed to turn the pieces around. I decided to go for the row, even though it wasn't directly going to score this round. It did give me the river on top of the ruin aspect that I wanted to score with that time. So it does take some planning, but again, you're not working with perfect information about what is coming. So you just kind of seize the opportunities as they arise. So here I am joining those actually three mountains, all in with the forests. That's a pretty decent move. Now everything's connected. About to surround the bottom mountain. This one I'm trying to find a spot which is going to be able to attach itself to 3 different terrain types. Now, you may have noticed some purple tiles as well. Those get called up by the cards at random intervals, and those are what they call monsters. Now, monsters take away victory points from you. However, you can neutralize that by essentially limiting the number of spaces, the number of faces that they have exposed to blank spaces. So if you have monsters turn up on your board, you're going to want to essentially smother them with some of your placement if you can, because if you do that, then it's going to not only hopefully score you points as well, but it's going to give you the ability to limit the damage also. Monsters turn up usually at inopportune times and inopportune locations. They're not totally disruptive, I don't find, but they can certainly cause you a bit of consternation, that's for sure. And if you don't cover them up, you're going to have some challenges there anyway. So you can see placing the river there gives me the space next to the ruin, as well as covering up a couple of faces of the monsters that would otherwise be negative points. I keep putting pieces next to the ruins. I'm getting a lot of rivers. This one is actually a really neat card. When you get it, it's just a single tile of your choice, so it's wild in that sense. Now, sometimes they have to be on a ruin, which kind of is unfortunate because I don't have the option of putting it anywhere else in this board state. I've only got the opportunity down there. I'm putting a forest there. That was obviously a mistake. I should have put a field there, so it did cost me a few points. But, when you're in the heat of battle, sometimes you do make mistakes like that. And so I really should have put a field there in retrospect. This is actually going to be the last placement of this season. So we're going to do that. Not that it makes a tremendous amount of difference to the end of the game. And they're going to end the season and give me my final score, which is 13, which is, you can see there's a little ranking system to let them know what type of cartographer you were. So anyway, we hope this playthrough was of interest to you. Thanks for joining us, and tune in next time on Legendary Tactics.